Okay, so what we're looking at is PSA 11.5, which is just off the screen at the moment. So there we go. And we're given some balance sheet information, and we're given a P&L, plus some additional information. And it says, prepare a cash flow statement for Tasmanian Oak Limited using the direct method for operating cash flows. So we're just doing the operating cash flows. Now you can do them all if you wanted to. Should you balance? Should you balance? Yeah, cool. Alright, so let's have a look. Our first lot of transactions, we need to rebuild our accounts receivable, or for my operating expenses, the first thing I need is my collections from customers. So my collections from customers goes through my accounts receivable. Accounts receivable. Now I look at my information, my opening balance for accounts receivable is 33,000, my closing balance is 90,800. So I'll just plug those two numbers in quickly. And what goes through my accounts receivable? Sales. So my sales is down here in my income statement of 342,000. That's going to increase my accounts receivable. And 375 I hear in the background. So that gives me collections or cash. How much is my cash collected? How much? 284,200. And once again, I'm going to highlight that because that's an item that I need to put into my cash flow statement. The next thing is my payments to my suppliers. Now that means that, let's have a quick look here. I've got accounts receivable, I've got inventory, so my accounts payable will obviously relate to my inventories. Does it tell me that somewhere? Yeah, accounts payable pertains to inventory creditors. Now just as an exercise, I know it's only asking for my operating cash flow, but just for an exercise, let's just categorise these ones. New machinery costing 85,000 was purchased for cash. Where do I categorise that? Investing, yep. What about old machinery having an original value of 57,500 was sold for 1,500? Yep, so that's an investing as well. Debentures matured and paid off at face value for cash. Financing, so, and that's, where's my debentures? That's up here. So that's my debentures there, so it's a $15,000 cash flow. And it's a cash flow out. What about my cash dividend of $22,350 declared and paid during the year? Financing. Alright, so that takes care of a few items there. So now I can sort of continue on. So I have to do my accounts payable, but first I have to do my inventories. Okay, so inventory. My opening balance is how much? 102,850. And my closing balance is 112,500. Now what goes through my inventory account? Cost of sales and payments of inventory purchases. So my cost of sales here is 115,460. So how much does that make? It's 227,960. Is that right? So how much does that make my purchases? 125. 110. Alright, so my accounts payables, the next account I need to bill. Build. Now I've got an opening balance in my accounts payable with credit. And how much is it? It's 67,300. And my closing balance is, hang on, I'll just tick off my inventories that have been done, 92,000. So 92,000. What else goes through my accounts payable is my purchases, so that purchases comes down to here. So purchases or inventory of 125,110. Yeah, okay, just let me total my accounts first. I'll go on there. 192,410. So that makes 192,410 here. So that makes my cash payments 110,410 or 100. Cash. Is that right? Yeah, okay, alright. Cash payments or payments, yep. So I'll just recognise it's an outlay. Is there any others that I need to rebuild? Accrued expenses, alright. So let's have a look. We've got operating expenses excluding depreciation are 12,410. Now, is that the payments? Let's have a look if we've got any payables and receivables, or we've got prepaid, yep. And we've got accrued expenses. So, okay, I'm going to have to work out what's my accrued and prepaid first before I can do my operating. So that's my payment to my suppliers. I've done cash from customers, payments to suppliers. Next I'm doing operating expenses. And my first one I'll do is prepaid expense. Now I start with an opening balance in my prepaid of 16,000 and a closing balance of 18,400. Now nothing in my additional information told me anymore, so that must mean I've got a payment here, an extra payment of 2,400. 18,400. So that's that goes to my OPEX. My accrued expenses was the next one I needed to do. Now what's my accrued expenses? My opening balance is 17. And my closing, 16,700. So that what must go to my OPEX is 300. Now the last thing I need to do is my operating expense. Now what I need to do is I need to close all my operating account or my expense accounts to what's called my P&L summary. And my P&L summary would have had a balance in it of 12,410. Next I need to finish off my entry, so this is going to my operating expense is 300, which will be called accrued expense. And my other operating expense here will be going to prepaid. And that's 2,400. So that'll total off at 15,110. And that must mean my cash paid Yep. Yep.
How come the prepaid expense and accrued expense are both on the same side?
Well, they were both on the same side here. Now, what happened is my accrued expenses, they started a credit balance, and it comes down, so my balance comes down, so it must have been a debit. And my prepaid expenses started with a debit balance and increased, so it must have been another debit. And now what it is that my debit here has my credit here, and my debit here has my credit here. So it's just my journal entries, how I post them. So, because it's really what we're looking is the payments, that's what we're looking for. Okay, is everyone okay to this point? Now, just so that if you wanted to do the whole cash flow statement, because I know the solution in the Blackboard has the whole cash flow statement, what we need to look at is, we'll look at another couple of items that come down here. We've got investments. Now, because it hasn't told me anything any different, I've gone from 94 to 108, so that must mean I purchased investments of 14,000, which should go into my cash flow. So that'd be an investing activity. If I look at my plant and machinery, did we say we purchased plant and machinery? Our machinery costing 57,000 was sold. We purchased some new machinery for 85,000. The difference between these two, let's have a look, would be the difference between here. So it's not what they sold it for, I know. My cash flow is there and there. So I've already taken care of that, so I don't have to worry about that account. My accumulated depreciation is non-cash item anyway. If I was looking at my financing activities, I would notice that my shares have gone up from 885 to 220. So that must have meant I issued some shares for 35,000, so there's another financing activity. And my retained earnings, well, that's my profits. My dividends we talked about down here, so I don't need to worry about that. So there's the other items that I could include in my cash flow statement. But I'll just quickly finish it. Now I just need to do my cash flow statement. What's the first thing I do when I do a cash flow statement?
Name of the business.
Name of the business, yeah. So what's the name of my business?
Tasman Oak.
Tasman Oak Proprietary Limited, or Tasman Oak Limited. Tasman Oak Limited. Cash flow statement. For the year ending, when is it? 31st of March. For $2,013. And my operating activities. My operating activities, well, we've already worked out, oh, you can't see it, here we go. Cash from customers, receipts from customers, is 284,200. Payments to suppliers. My payments to suppliers, where we work it out, 410. Now I'm just going to put this off to the side here. My cash paid for my operating expenses, worries me I didn't highlight that. So we're looking at my operating expenses there. Which was 15,110, once again bracketed because it's a cash outflow. Is there any other items that I need to include? Income tax. Okay, so have I got any income tax payable? No, so that must mean that this was the cash amount, so I've got my cash amount there. I've got some interest here as well. Is there any interest payable? No, so there's my interest expense, so those two items are now considered to be paid. Is 7,000 and 2,230, which is interest paid. What's the sum of those altogether? $100, $115, $122, $124, $124, $520, $124, $520, $124, $750. 124, $750, yep.
Not including the receipts from the customer.
Cash flow. And that cash flow would then be 159,450. So that's my cash flow. Now that's where the question ends, but I'm going to continue on. I'm going to do my financing activities. My financing activities. Now what's my financing activities going to be? Shares, we've got them down here. Debentures matured and paid off at face value. What was my debentures? 15,000.
35.
Debentures paid. Was it 35,000 or was it 15,000? No, it's 15,000. So 15,000, and that's an outflow. I issued some shares, didn't I? Yeah, my share capital. Was 35,000, and that's a cash inflow, so I'm not going to worry about bracketing that. And then I've got my dividends down here, 22,350. $22,350, and dividends are as a payment, so that's an outflow. Net flow. My net cash flow is how much? That's 22,350, and it's an outflow. And the last one is my investing activities. My investing activities, now what have we sold? New machinery, purchase of machinery. Purchase of machine was 85,000, and that's outflow. Purchases are outflows. I've got some old machinery here for 1,500, sale of machine. 1,500. Was there any others? We've got some investments up here. Some investments that we flogged off as well. Oh no, actually we didn't flog them off, we actually purchased some more investments. So, investment purchase. What did we say they were? They were 14,000. Oh, you can't see up there. No wonder you can't see up there. I've not even got it on the screen. 14,000. And that was a cash outflow because we purchased those. So what does that give me? 85, 95, 99, 97, 500. Yep.
What about plant and machinery?
Yeah, that's taken care of here in these two items, items number 1 and 2, like old machinery. So if you took 85,000 and then the 57,500, the difference between those two would be 5530. It is 27,500. You'd find the movement there to there is 27,500. So, no, because we're looking for the cash flows. So the cash flows there and the cash flows are there. So it's a good question because, yeah, you're right. We've got a movement there, but it's taken care of in my additional information. Now that's sorry, that was an outflow. What's my net cash flow? From all my activities. So 159, 97, 500, and what's the other one? 2,350. Who's fast on the calculator? 59,600. That is fast on the calculator. Now, litmus test. My opening cash balance goes into it. My opening cash balance is 38,400. So therefore my closing cash balance should be the sum of the two. What do we got? We got 0, 0, 0, 8, 9, 98,000, which agrees to my bank balance. So therefore I know that I've included all of my items into my cash flow statement. Can I get my hand out the way? Come on. Getting in the way of my learning.